Welcome back to Imperator Rome Abridged. In the previous part, we sort of accidentally took part of Anatolia while killing somebody else, and I could use this to springboard to take other places. There was Cyprus in between Anatolia and Egypt, and there was the Antigonid Kingdom, what remains of it, which we took most of. Still need to finish those guys off. My next project though was actually on another island. I was looking over to Crete. I thought we might as well take Crete because the faction called Crete is not allied to anyone, so it's just free territory right now. It's going to be a bit of a hassle because we need to bring troops up and ship them over. Here I was frustrated that it takes so long to walk up the Nile area. I wondered if there was some way to build roads, or if any of the buildings increase the movement speed of units. Maybe there is somewhere. Well, eventually somebody gets to Crete and we start this war. So as I land troops, I was looking over at this mercenary stack and thinking, what if Crete just hired it and used it against me? With that in mind, I'm going to hire it. Because of the game rules, we actually can't use this stack. Your mercenaries have to go back to your own territory and touch your border before they're allowed to participate in a war. In this case, it doesn't really matter. All I wanted to do is get them off Crete, so we eventually ship them back to Egypt. They can build some morale and come back to the war later, and that just stops any mishaps from occurring. Once we've shipped even more things over to Crete, well, we're virtually guaranteed to win. We've got way more stuff than them, suffice to say. There was a bit of a battle. Eventually they were avoiding me for a long time. That battle isn't even guaranteed to be in our favour despite our number. Again, like with the Antigonids, I suspect our armies, our levy armies, aren't that good. Not 100% sure what to do about that, but I have been focusing on the military techs recently to try and reverse that situation. Well, we win the battle with sheer number anyway. This brings us to a bit later. Once we've conquered everything, Crete is now ours, and I'm even being very good here, looking at the nobles, finding somebody who looks relatively decent and sparing them. We crucify the rest for entertainment purposes, as the game puts it, and we can then use that guy to be the governor of Crete. This increases their loyalty because somebody of their majority culture is ruling them. My idea with Crete was to try and set up something of an insurance policy. That's why I'm immediately looking here at the fortress building options. I thought if we can take this island and make it so heavily fortified that it would just take a really long time to capture it, it might become technically invincible because armies doing the sieges would run out of supplies and die or leave, and because we're on an island it's hard for the enemy to reinforce or resupply their armies. So I figured let's just spam forts everywhere if we can, and have this as a backup so that if Rome decides to kill us all, we might have this bastion that will hold on for a long time, or something. There's a vague idea going on there. Next up, we need to go to war with the Antigonids again. Because they have a bit of territory, we might as well take it. The Romans are going to take it soon enough, so let's have it be us instead. As for the war, well, it was annoying to set up because I had to again get troops up to this awkward location to fight it, but once they're here, it's fine. And here's me finally discovering that you can automate your armies, as several people pointed out in the comments, and it's going to come in very useful. By automating that mercenary stack, they'll chase down all those small enemy armies that are just wandering around in my territory. That way we don't have to micro that, much less annoying. That's a great discovery. After taking the territory adjacent to us, we're going to do some naval invasions to try and get some more war score, because these guys and their allies control a bunch of these islands, the Cyclades I think they're called. In we go with 4,000 troops. I thought we might actually have trouble there because it was some sort of naval invasion. I'm sure you get a debuff for doing that. Well, it worked out fine in the end. We need more troops though because we don't have the number to take down the local fortress. We also invade the islands to the south controlled by an allied faction. Win a quick battle, just trying to get some more war score to claim more stuff, and that's all fine in the end. I couldn't quite be bothered to do all of the naval stuff needed to take all of the islands, so I ended up kind of leaving it mostly done. Also won a quick naval victory there as some enemy ships tried to escape, a rare thing. We can now get pretty much what we need out of a peace deal. I got the territories adjacent to me. I took one of the islands, I think, and I also vassalized a bunch of the other islands. That's good enough for me, and that pretty much resolves this whole corner of the map and this situation, because after all this, well, it's just going to be Rome in this direction. This means we're now under extreme risk of being attacked by Rome, of course, although Rome has enough other people on its borders that who knows which direction the AI wants to focus on. We might be okay for a bit. So we'll leave that whole situation as it is and not stir anything up. With that though, the question becomes, what do we do with all of our manpower and general military capacity? My main avenue for expansion is unfortunately the Seleukid Empire right now, who may well have more number than us. We could also attack our allies, the Cyrenaians, or these small states here to get a bit more territory. Well, I didn't really want to, not that it wouldn't be such a bad idea to do that. I was thinking of essentially stirring up some drama. What I wanted to see was the Seleucids to get blown apart and for us to benefit from this. We now reach the point where I had read somebody's comment mentioning that you can destroy your old forts to save money. I had noticed the forts were costing us money, but I never thought to actually get rid of some of the old forts. And yes, that's a pretty good idea. Some of these ones are pretty pointless. You can right click on a fort building to disappear it. Now we'll have slightly more money. I went around looking for loads to destroy, but I did end up chickening out in many cases because I kept thinking, well, it's not completely implausible that we'll still get invaded down here. I guess I was still worried about one of the superpowers invading, and it might actually be useful to have certain places down the line be fortified for potential retreating actions later. Well, I destroyed a few. Now you can see I'm starting to get more serious about doing something with the Seleucids. We're going to set down our claim and have the casus belli, so if I want, I can invade them. I'm going to claim somewhere quite close to my border for war score purposes. One issue was that my king isn't very good as a general, and he's also quite old. I didn't want to have a succession event going through during the war, just in case something went wrong. The issue on top of that though, is that the next guy in line is even worse with a grand total of 0 points of military score. So he will absolutely suck and he'll be leading our biggest levy. That's not too convenient, but I still wanted to wait and get the succession stuff out of the way. We do have some options. I could try and appoint somebody else to be the heir, or I could even change the succession laws so it's somebody else by default. Well, after poking through those options, I apparently wasn't satisfied. I just went with the terrible guy in the end and decided to wait for it. Well, during the wait, I finally make some more progress with our Arabia mission. We've got the population to colonize the empty parts. Now we can advance towards the end. This final part, well, basically I had to just try and get someone in particular to rule as governor because it was talking about a certain family being in power for some reason. So I did some shenanigans, kicked somebody out, made the right guy be in power, probably lost a load of loyalty on the original guy for kicking him out. Oh well, at least we're at the end of the mission. We just get some little passive buffs here for doing it. I was more interested in just having completed that mission. That was going on for a very long time. I didn't count the years, but we've been on that Arabia mission since well before we had any of the territories required. Very nice. There's another mission now, something to do with Phrygia. We don't want to do that because it will take us into Anatolia. I think I did start the other mission to improve Arabia instead. Now here's me doing an experiment. I decided to raise all of my levies and see what happened effectively. I was mainly looking to see how it would affect our economy. I wanted to know, can I send all of my troops off to a hell war with the Seleucids and still be economically stable? It appears that I can. One thing though that I didn't notice is that raising your levies increases your war exhaustion all of a sudden. So my war exhaustion has gone up after that. Then later, once we got our new terrible king and I was thinking, well, maybe I'll actually start preparing for this war, I raised them again. This adds another massive blob of war exhaustion onto our pile, and we're already getting the warning that it's too high before the war started, and that's probably a bad thing. If we're going into a gigantic hell war, we want war exhaustion to start low because it might be going on for a while. With that in mind, I put the levies back again and went back to waiting. But at least while I was waiting, I realized I could change some of my military laws to allow me to create a legion instead of a levy from our capital province. And that's going to allow me to avoid having the terrible guy be in command, because we can deploy most of the pops into a legion instead and pick who commands it, and you can even pick what kinds of units go into it, which of course invites the possibility that I'm going to be picking those incorrectly. Here's what I ended up with. Looks like I've gone with a load of camels, thinking that camels are good for our faction. We have some military traditions to do with camels. Well, I don't know. We've got something here. It has a number, and that's worked well for us before. We'll send this stuff up to the front. And in my excitement, I thought, well, let's just send everything up to the front. I popped out the raise all levies again. I'm going to start assembling. It will take a while, but we're going to suspiciously put our massive army on the border with the Seleucids, and perhaps do something with that afterwards. First though, I finally clicked on this picture of a moose, which it turns out was important. You can change it to other pictures, and this changes what strategy your army is going to use. We have lots of numbers to look at here, but I ended up picking it based on the number next to the picture. So like here, that wolf has 74% next to it. Maybe that means it's 74% good, better than 44% good using moose mode. So I went through and switched each army to the one that had the highest number. I'm guessing what the number is depends on the exact composition of the army. Now we might be more effective than usual, maybe. After that, well, we're just going to do it. In the end, I didn't really do anything particularly fancy here. There's no civil war to exploit or rebellion to help us. I just thought, let's take these guys down. I'd recently seen them lose wars to India and the Romans, and figured they might actually be low on money or manpower, and we actually have quite a lot of stuff here. Certainly more than we've had before. And our new legion will lead the charge, going deep into enemy territory to see what they can do. My war goal is just to take the nearby bit of territory, so all we really have to do is occupy the territory next to us, maybe win a couple of battles to get some war score, and then peace out quite quickly. So this shouldn't be the grand engagement that I was hinting at earlier. However, we do have a second front to worry about. The Seleucids can attack us up here in Anatolia, and I've put barely anything here due to not particularly caring about this area. We are though going to gain some early victories, moving in with our levies to take out that little fort they had. My mercenaries here though got defeated quite quickly, and we started to see more and more stuff showing up there. This was good for me, because I was thinking, if they send loads of stuff up to Anatolia, they're not defending the area being contested in the war, and we can use that to take it. I'm also going to do a distractionary attack. I'm going to send a bunch of troops through this passage into Mesopotamia to have armies in their back lines, just being annoying, being a distraction, keeping enemies out of combat, and building war score. We're starting to see a Seleukid army appear on our front line here, going to quickly gather together some forces. We are quite spread out because we're all stuck taking the various forts, which we have to wait for. I think I should have ignored the forts and just pressed forward with everything for a bit to kill some armies before settling in for sieges. Well, we still get this advantageous battle. We gather together enough to quickly take out a large army there. There are still more to go. We'll gather up some more and take out those 12,000. We are going to suffer most likely from the enemy having better commanders and better troops, and that might explain this battle. We gather together 40 to 50,000 against their 25,000 in the end for this decisive clash, which we lose. We had nearly double their number, but it's going pretty badly, continuing the theme we've had recently in this campaign, where maybe our armies just aren't very good in comparison to those of the other factions. We straight up lose that engagement. Not the end of the world, but now our guys will be falling back and won't be very useful to us, and because the enemy are starting to take our Anatolian stuff as well, we have negative war score, not conductive to us ending the war quickly and claiming a few territories. I then decided to unite everything together and have our stack move about as a 70,000 strong blob to do the business. The problem was, the part of the stack that just got defeated is only at half morale, and as they were walking across this front line, they got attacked, only part of them getting attacked there as well since another group just moved ahead. That meant I didn't actually unite my forces together before we were attacked majorly again, losing another big battle and a bunch of troops. Again, this is getting worse and worse quite quickly as well. We can come back in this case and push in with the rest of the force to then fight the battle again and win it. But that's only one of the armies marauding around in the area. And I wasn't liking how difficult it was to take down these enemy stacks. So we've got the occupation in this area, but we certainly don't have the war score to end the war. We need to just flood the area with troops and win some massive battles. Well, I get what I want in the end. I get everything together into a massive stack with nearly 100,000 troops. And everything the Seleucids have rushes over to join this climactic battle. This doesn't work very well for us though. Even though we have double, nearly triple their number, we're still losing the battle. This was a little bit frustrating. The tried and tested method is not working. Have the gods of numbers forsaken us at last? Well, I don't know. I decided, while watching this battle, to look at the thing at the bottom of the screen, which is in some way telling us what's happening in the battle. I thought, can we work out why things are bad? It looks like the enemy are in rabbit mode, which is good for them, so that's a shame. I'm not sure if you can change that mode in battle or whether you can see what the enemy are about to use if you're microing quite closely. Seems we've missed a trick there. As for this picture, it doesn't look like we have double or triple their number. We're certainly not using that strength if we have it. And then I realized, it's because of this thing in the top right of this corner where it says 40. Combat width, my old foe from Hearts of Iron. A thing that means there is some limit on how many troops can fight in a battle, so having really big numbers doesn't make you stronger. This could be what's happening. The enemy's number is closer to the limit for what you can put in battle, and then they just need to have more discipline, better commanders, or a better animal mode, and they can win. So this results in the army being demoralized and losing this battle, especially when another massive stack of enemy troops comes in. Well, I say losing this battle, I actually didn't finish the battle strategically, because that battle and another one happening there in Anatolia were about to lower our war score quite a lot. So I pieced out of the war while the fighting was happening by giving the Seleucids most of my Anatolian territory. There we have it then, a brief and disastrous war with our superpower neighbours that's only made them more powerful in the end. We did it. We've learned some lessons along the way, perhaps, maybe. We learned that we're not as strong as I think I am, although I don't know why, so there are still some important lessons to learn somewhere. Well, for now, there are a few other things we can do to build our strength and potentially prepare for a comeback of some kind. Well, I'll talk about that next time.